The videos, shot from various angles, show federal agents shoving someone before Pretti steps in. Pretti is then pepper sprayed in the face by an officer while holding his phone and is then wrestled to the ground. DHS said he brandished a weapon, but the videos don't appear to show that. This one does show an agent appearing to remove a gun from Pretti's back waistband seconds before the shots are fired.
11 days before Alex Pretti was killed by immigration officers, he had another run-in with federal agents. This video shows the 37-year-old ICU nurse interacting with federal agents, kicking the back of an SUV. We don't know what led up to this January 13th incident.
I show this video to show that, is there more to the story? Yeah, but this video does not justify.
Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would die with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't. Don't be.
You are a fake Christian.
Arrested. All right. And I'm so glad that he is arrested. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Not Close Enough podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today, I got another episode. I got another one for you, and man, does the world seem like it is going out of control. I'm talking about from what's going on in politics, what's going on around the world, the news, ICE, Minnesota, the World Cup. I mean, there's just so much things that are happening right now. And man, I'm going to get into a lot of that stuff, especially a couple of videos where I'm going to talk about, I believe his name is William, forgot his last name. He's the protester that protested against the church, went inside the church, disrupted service because the pastor also works for ICE. And what happened? What are my thoughts on that? Also, what happened with Alex. I know it's Alex Jeffrey Pretti. I can't get his last name. But him getting shot and that tragic news. What do I think about that as well? What do I think about all of this as a whole? But don't worry. This is why I say don't worry. I have been watching what's been going on pretty closely, just everything of what's going on around the world. And can I tell you, man, it seems very dark. And I don't know about you, but if you're someone who does watch a lot of this stuff and kind of knows a little bit of what's going on, there's like this sense of anxiety that tends to come over us because of everything. And obviously because I'm doing the podcast and I talk about these things, I get a lot of comments. I get a lot of hateful things, a lot of good things, and dealing with friends and family who don't agree with me, which is totally fine. But like going back and forth on social media and the anxiety that brings, right? And so there's just so much going on. And I found myself like constantly thinking about all of these things. And man, when I tell you, it wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't healthy that this was constantly playing in my mind about, talking to friends and family who disagree with me and kind of going back and forth and seeing what's going on in the news and, and everything that's happening, including me dealing with my own personal life. And so, there's a lot of things that is happening. And I would be lying to you if I said that, I'm just good, collective, chill. Like there's been a lot of my heart's been racing a little bit faster than normal because of everything that has been going on. And I had a moment where God just told me to pause. I was at work and I literally just started praying praying for peace. Obviously peace around the world, but really peace in here. Um, and I think that is something that we all need to do, especially in this time. You know, so many of us, including me, we're so quick to respond, we're so quick to react. But what if instead of responding and reacting, we rested in the Lord? And I'm not just telling that to you, I'm telling that to me. And God had to show me that. And so, yes, I'm going to be talking about these things in this video and give my 2 cents, but I'm going to also bring it to a point of where I'm going to give you some good news at the end. I'm going to give you some good news. You know, I was just watching this person's video of just like everything that's going on, and it was just bad thing, bad thing, bad thing, bad thing. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And what we have to remember is that we serve a God who is good, who is loving, who will bring justice. Um, And I think at times, because of the all of the chaos that's going on in the world and even around us, we forget to simply rest and just know who he is and know what he is able to do and know what he's already done. That's something that I needed. And then, you know, I'll have conversations with friends, with godly friends, and I, I'm gonna shout him out. There's this guy at work. His name is Josh. Shout out to Josh. And man, I go to work every morning, and when I see him, this guy is just, you know, bright smile, ready for the day, like, and just talking about Jesus to the coworkers, uplifting people, uplifting me. And you know, he's constantly asking me, hey, what Bible verse is this? Because, you know, you know, some Bible verses that can pop up on top of my head. And, you know, he gets impressed about the knowledge I have of the word, but I'm way more impressed of the joy that he has. He's living in the same world I'm living in, and it's okay to know things and to see what's going on and to feel those things and to comment on those things. But I can, like, you know, when you come around certain people in a season or in a time where you just know that they are getting close to God, and it's just a really good reminder that, yeah, you know, you could be aware of what's going on, but remember what is the most important. And that's how I'm going to end things is yes, I'm going to talk about these things because that's what I do, but at the same time I'm going to bring it back to a place where we can rest in him and know that God is who he says he is. He's a God of love, peace, mercy, justice, forgiveness, and that's how I'll end the video. But I mean, here we go. You know, I'm starting off talking about what happened to Alex Jeffrey. And, you know, I had posted on my social media that, and it was just simple. What happened to Alex was wrong. And I'm sure, you know, and here's the thing, I'm conservative. Really conservative. All right. Number one, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I follow Jesus. That's number one about me. But yeah, like a lot of my viewpoints when it comes to political stuff or whatever the case is, I'm conservative. I'm not afraid to share that fact. But even as a conservative, even as, you know, someone who loves Jesus greatly, and to be honest with you, I really do not like the progressive liberal frame of thinking. I think it points people away from God. Or if there are progressive Christians, then it seems like they are constantly just trying to pull hairs with the Bible and take things out of context. And it's very frustrating. I would say this, that progressive Christianity is not Christianity. And but what happened to Alex was just straight up wrong. Now, I've seen many videos and many commentators comment on this thing, and you know what? Let's go ahead and watch the video.
The videos, shot from various angles, show federal agents shoving someone before Pretti steps in. Pretti is then pepper sprayed in the face by an officer while holding his phone and is then wrestled to the ground. DHS said he brandished a weapon, but the videos don't appear to show that. This one does show an agent appearing to remove a gun from Pretti's back waistband seconds before the shots are fired. Local officials say Pretti had a permit to carry, and groups like the Gun Owners of America are defending his right to bear arms while protesting as top Trump officials push back.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Pretti was an ICU nurse for a Minneapolis VA hospital, his parents calling him kind-hearted and deeply caring.
He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it.
President Trump overnight calling it a dangerous situation for everyone, demanded state and local officials cooperate with the administration's deportation efforts as those officials call on ICE to leave the state. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Okay, so first thing that I want to get out the way. Did you guys know, and this is just reality, this is facts. Well, before I even get to that, again, I've seen the slow-mo video. I've seen the video. The cops, they took away his gun. He didn't have a gun. He never reached for it. And he got shot. Like, that was straight up murder. Now, I did find out that the police who shot him, or not the police, he was Border Patrol. He is a leave of absence, and it's under investigation. We'll see how that plays out. You know, I've seen commentators on both sides were like, hey, if you're a cop and there's a gun in the situation and, you know, someone's resisting arrest and all this stuff, then, you know, things can happen. But so two things. Obviously, if you go to a protest with a gun and then you have any type of conflict with the police officers and they're trying to detain you or whatever the case, do not resist. But at the same time, when you get pepper sprayed, when you have multiple people jumping on you, I think the human natural instinct is to fight back. And I'm not talking about fighting back like you're trying to fight the police, but trying to protect yourself. And that's just me being like level-headed on this, of like, you know, if, you know, obviously, most likely, not even most likely, I know I'm not going to put myself in that situation, but if I was in that situation, you know, I'm getting pepper sprayed, you know, all these guys are on top of me, you know, I'm going to try to protect myself and I'm going to try not to resist, but human nature kicks in, or human instincts kick in. And then I've heard people say like he should have not resisted at all. Should have just laid down on the ground. And maybe they're right. But the fact is this, is that he didn't go for his gun. He didn't reach for his gun. The gun was taken and he was shot and he was killed. And it's wrong. It's wrong no matter how you slice it. Now, and here's the big thing. I am a huge defender of the Second Amendment. As a matter of fact, just to prove my point, I am all for the Second Amendment. Okay, I have a couple of guns. I have this one. I have my shotgun, and I'm all for it. I know people who carry at all times. People are saying it's stupid for you to bring a gun to the protests, but knowing how the protests are, it's very dangerous. Guess what? You're going to want to have a gun on you when things get dangerous, but at the same time, you're going to be met with law enforcement as well. So I know people say, hey, just use common sense. I'm a big common sense guy, but at the same time, I'm a rights guy as well. You have the right. I watch so many videos of people who are in the are all about the Second Amendment, and they will carry um in certain places where they're know that they're going to get pulled over by the police, so that they can audit the police. They can see, hey, are you going to respect my rights, or are you going to reject them? And so I've watched so many of those videos. There's a big guy, a big time YouTuber, I can't get his name, but he does fishing, and the law in Florida states that you can open carry. I think we're a constitutional carry state now, so you could just carry whenever without a license in Florida. But he'll carry like some big guns on him while he's going to, during, and coming from fishing, camping. But normally it's for him, it's fishing, and he gets pulled over all the time. And sometimes he deals with cool police, but most of the time he's dealing with police. They're like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, hey, this is my right. And I get it, common sense, all that, but we do have the right to carry. Now, again, it's important that when we are carrying and we're face to face with police officers, and they're trying to get hands on, and if you want to stay alive, man, do not resist. All right. You can win your battle at court. You can sue the crap out of them. You know what I'm saying? You could do that. But what I want is, I want people to exercise their rights, but do it peacefully, do it with common sense, and do it respectfully. Not in a sense, but like, you have rights, use them. All right, but just make sure that you do have common sense when you're doing certain things that can lead to situations that could harm you. And so, again, what happened to Alex is wrong, and now there's another story coming out of Alex being shown 11 days before having an altercation with ICE as well. And so let's go ahead and watch that video. Check this out.
11 days before Alex Pretti was killed by immigration officers, he had another run-in with federal agents. This video shows the 37-year-old ICU nurse interacting with federal agents, kicking the back of an SUV. We don't know what led up to this January 13th incident. A family representative confirms this is Pretti, saying in a statement, a week before Alex was gunned down in the street, despite posing no threat to anyone, he was violently assaulted by a group of ICE agents. Nothing that happened a full week before could have possibly justified Alex's killing at the hands of ICE on January 24th. That killing memorialized on the street.
Okay. I see a lot of people showing this video just like how I did. And they're almost, they kind of hide it with like, oh, well, this is who he really was. And I mean, straight up, don't freaking kick federal agents' cars. All right. And he had a gun on him during that time too. Like, you think out of both situations that happened to him, like, you would think that would be the one to like possibly get him shot, right? But no, they tackled him, they subdued him, and then once they got all their stuff situated, they let him go, which is crazy, right? He's spitting on the ice and all of that. And I'm not doing this to like defame his character or anything like that. He's gone. And I think we should, have that type of respect. Like, I show this video to show that is there more to the story? Yeah, but this video does not justify what happened 11 days later from this video, which was him getting shot and killed by Border Patrol. And But I've seen like Christians like, oh, he's Christian, and I don't know. I don't know, because I know as Christians, especially me, we don't get things right all the time, but that's not how a Christian should act. I'm talking about the 11 days before. Like that video we just watched, we shouldn't be acting like that. Should we protest when we think that there is injustice? Absolutely. 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 Should we go against laws that go against scripture? Absolutely. Should we be, and I've heard people have told this to me, because I said, hey, we need to make sure that we're being obedient to the law. All because I said, hey, we need to obey the law. Oh, you follow the law blindly. What? That's not even what I'm saying. I'm not saying if there's like a new law that says that we can't pray out in public, do you think I'm going to obey that law? Absolutely not. I'm going to hit a Daniel on them. I'm going to keep on praying, right? So it's not blindly following all the laws. No. The disciples didn't do that. Jesus didn't do that. And certain, religious laws, I'm not going to do that. But when it comes to common sense law, basic law, right? Like the law that states that do not obstruct law enforcement when they're doing their job, right? And if you are doing that, or if you have a traffic violation or whatever the case is, and you're driving a car, in most states, they have a legal right to ask you to step out the vehicle. Did you know? That's not my opinion. That's just what the law is in most states. It doesn't mean, so you have to step out the vehicle. And once you step out of the vehicle, you still have rights. If they don't have probable cause, they can't search you. They can't search your car, all that stuff. So still know and stick up for your rights, but do it peacefully. Do it calmly, with a calm mind. Okay. So, so like when you have laws like that, are you saying, oh man, we can't follow any laws because it's ran by the government, and the government is not right, and they're not good, and blah. I'm like, no, these laws are in place to protect police and to protect us. Now, again, for the last time, if any laws go against scripture or is clearly unjustified, then yeah, we protest, we go out and vote for someone who's going to change that. We do whatever we can to make sure that those laws get abolished, right? So this isn't blindly following laws. This is just regular laws, right? And so I agree. We are called. I think it's totally fine for people to protest and to get together and to go against something that they don't agree with. Even if I don't agree with you, you have that right. That's what makes America great. But can I just say this? I can't believe I have to say this. When you protest, how about not blocking the roads? How about not throwing stuff at federal agents? How about that? And, I see these protesters, they're got their whistles and they're whistling to the nearby community to let them know, hey, ICE is coming, so you need to get away. And the people that they're actually chasing are criminals who've done some bad things most of the time. Now, has ICE went after some people who didn't deserve that? Yeah. I have, there is this one link. People came in the right way and they were waiting for their visa, and ICE agents came in and basically took them, right? Like, has there been some injustice in the ICE department? Yeah. Has there been injustice in any department that humans run? Yes. And we need to call that out. We have to. We have to. We have to. But going back, what happened to Alex was wrong. Now, you can say, there's reports that he was doing this and he was doing that and all that. Listen, we all have two eyes. We seen the video. It doesn't matter what happened 11 days ago. It really doesn't. Now, does it build context? Sure. But it's still, the ends doesn't justify the means when we all clearly seen the video. And I just think that's wrong. And again, I'm super conservative, as you can tell. I'm super conservative. I mainly vote on the right side. I'm listed as independent because I don't want to be tied to either party. But I just think that we have to come back to a place where we are just simply using common sense. If we protest, let's make sure we're doing it the right way. Let's make sure that we're not blocking the road. Let's make sure that we're not throwing stuff or doing anything to endanger any type of law enforcement. With a group that went inside of a church to protest. And I want to react to this and give you an update on it and give you my thoughts on this. But check this out. Check this out.
Comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't. Don't be.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians, but we know you live an easy life. All these.
Okay. Yeah. So, what is the update on that story? Well, let's find out. Arrested. All right. And I'm so glad that he is arrested. Now, what is my thoughts on that real quick? Okay, I could tell you my thoughts on that real quick. So, first of all, again, we all have the right to protest, right? And if they were outside the church on the sidewalk, you can do that. But you went in a church and interrupted service. That's not protected by the First Amendment, by the way. All right. Number one, yes, it's open to the public, but they have the right to be like, hey, no, you can't do that. You need to leave. Right. And he's badgering kids too. You saw the video. It's crazy. He's saying Jesus never wore a suit. He also never wore a beanie, right? Jesus never wore boots. Jesus never drove a car. What does that mean? Like, and then calling some people sinners when the Bible teaches us, like, we need to have order in church. There is church order, right? If you had something to say and the pastor allowed you to say something, cool, right? But if you're going in there and you're disrupting service, bro, let that happen to the church I used to go to. We all strapped. Now, it doesn't mean we shooting, all right? But we showing up, throwing your behind out. I'm sorry. People get mad at me for saying that. Now, I'm like, oh, no, we got to be like, no, if you're coming in there and I got my kids in there and you're saying all of this dumb nonsense that makes absolutely no sense, you don't know what you're talking about. You're calling me a sinner, right? And you're over here doing what you're doing. Like, nah, and you're interrupting service. No, me and the boys, we taking you and we throwing you out, right? Like, yeah. Try that at my old church. Yeah, that's not going to go down nicely, right? And don't get me wrong. If you want to protest outside, we gonna come outside. We gonna probably debate. We're gonna also mainly show love, even if you disagree. We're gonna do that. But if you come into the walls and try to pull a stunt like that, yeah, he said, "Don't touch me." He would have been. I'm sorry, God. If this is wrong, God forgive me. He would have been touched. All right, he would have been thrown out. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And just so you know, okay, like you can throw people out of church. All right, I'm just letting you know that. But like, it's stuff like that. Again, I am all for First Amendment, Second Amendment, all the amendments, right? But that right there was not that. We need to learn, I guess, now how to protest. Because you just walking inside of a church and disrupting it like that, that's not protected under the Constitution. Because now what you're doing is illegal. And it's crazy to me. I'm so happy this guy got arrested. I'm so happy he got arrested. And I pray for that dude. Because it seems like he has a lot of hate in here, right? He wants justice, but he's going after it the entire wrong way. One of the verses that I'm going to go back to it in 1 Peter 3:9, verse, and let's just do verse 9. It says, "Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing." So, and then the also Bible talks about a harsh word only brings, the temperature up, but a gentle word calms it down. He's coming in, disrupting church service with that type of tone, with that type of attitude, calling them out, even though he has no idea what they do or how they help their community. He's making just general foolish allegations on people he's never met, never talked to. Like, yeah. That's crazy. That also happened. And so, again, you want to protest and do it the right way. Don't be going into churches and doing that. Mess around, you step into the wrong church. Now, I'm not saying we go shoot you or anything like that, right? But what I am saying is we gonna throw you out. All right. Not a lot of, maybe some people disagree with me on that. That's fine. All right. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. But I'm just being honest, man. I'm being honest. You do that, you getting thrown out. Okay. It is what it is. You want to protest, do it the right way. All right. We should be praying for that dude. And the reason why, and I'm sorry, I didn't even bring this up in the first. The reason why they were there in the first place because the pastor there also works with ICE in Minnesota. So, come on. That's the reason they're there. It's like I said, we live in a time where there's just so much nonsense and there's no common sense anymore. And people are hijacking terms like, constitutional rights and First and Second Amendment and all of these. They're hijacking words and they're perverting them and twisting them and thinking they could do whatever they want, like block the roads, throw stuff at law enforcement, and think that it's their right to do so. No. So let's, again, use common sense. Live out your rights, all right? Fight for your rights. Know your rights, but also have common sense. Is that too hard? I don't know. Anyway, here's something else I want to talk about. there's a lot of stuff going on, and you might agree with some of the things that I'm saying. You might not, and that's totally fine, right? Because guess what? I'm not tied down to either side. I posted this on my Facebook, and I think it's good for me to read it here. And it wasn't me originally who wrote this, but I think how he said it was very good, like very, very good. And this is what he said. He said, most on the right say ICE can do no wrong. Most on the left say ICE agents are Nazis, abolish the agency. Neither extreme is grounded in reality. Both turn a serious issue into a tribal shouting match. Inflamed emotions erase nuance and ultimately make outcomes worse, not better. When outrage replaces reason, facts get ignored and people get hurt. Common sense didn't quietly leave the conversation, it was shoved out. And until we bring it back, we'll keep arguing past each other instead of solving anything. I think that was said perfectly. I think we have to come more to a common ground of saying, yeah, there's some stuff that they did was wrong. They need to be held responsible. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be transparency. And we also need the right side to call it out as well. I would love it if Trump was like, man, we got to do better at that. We got to do better at that. Or any right side, higher up politician was like, yeah, that was an L. Like, we have to make sure that we are doing things better, right? But it seems like, and the left side is just as worse, but on the other side, like, oh, they can do no right, and they're doing this and they're doing that and all this stuff, and it's just like, can't we see that there is truth in both sides of like what's going on, and kind of figure out like, hey, I don't got to lean on this side or this side. I can stand in the middle, and yeah, that's a point and that's a point. This is how these points should come together. And so I'm probably going to get hate from both sides because of all of that, but I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I just want us to have common ground to realize that a lot of ICE agents are simply doing their job. And they've arrested a lot of criminals. But also on the other side, saying, man, they handled that so poorly. They may need more training or whatever the case is. And they need to be held accountable. Why can't we see it from both sides? And if we do protest, let's do it smartly, with common sense, and while not breaking the law. Is that controversial? It shouldn't be. But I've literally repeated that kind of statement over and over on social media, and you won't believe all the pushback I've got. All because I'm like, hey, I see what you're saying, but also look at this side. Let's have common ground. Hey, let's follow the laws, right? Let's stand up for our rights. I'm literally saying common sense stuff, and people are, it's a part of the game. I get it. And again, it brings me to how I'm going to end this. Like I said before, there's so much of what's going on. There's so much tension in the air. And again, like I said in the beginning of the video, my mind was just flooded with all of these thoughts, right? Going back and forth with friends and family, and seeing what's going on in the news, and thinking, man, how am I going to talk about this? And all of these things. And God just said, I just need you to simply rest in me. In Matthew 11, verse 28 through 30, it says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What does that mean for us in this time of heaviness? Because this is a time of heaviness. I'm going through a heavy season already. You add all of this, holy moly. And God simply reminded me that you don't have to carry that. You don't have to carry that alone. That it doesn't mean that we don't care about certain issues or those issues of what's going on. But when you allow those thoughts to completely fill your mind, it builds up anxiety and it builds up this heaviness inside of you. And God's like, that's not where you're supposed to be. You need to rest in me, to know that even though everything seems out of control, that in him, he is in control. And that he is in control of my life. And that I don't want to allow my emotions, and you shouldn't allow your emotions or your feelings betray you. Because guess what? Sometimes our feelings and our emotions betray us. They get us feeling and thinking a certain way that doesn't lead to truth. And God's saying, hey, would you just trust me? And he said, I will give you rest. Take on my yoke, and I will give you rest for your souls. And what does that actually look like? It looks like, man, what would happen if you just literally dropped on your knees, lifted your hands, and just said, God, I trust you. And I rest in you. It doesn't mean that challenges in my life go away. It doesn't mean that I won't face things, but you remind me that you're with me through that. That you're my strength through the storm. That you have my back. That all things work out for good for those who love you. So God, I'm trusting you. In the middle of the storm, in the middle of the craziness, in the middle of the chaos, God, you're my peace. So help me to be filled with peace so that when people are around me, they can experience that peace as well. Because it's not from me, it's from you, Jesus. What if that was our prayer? And how do we get there? Well, a good way to do that is Philippians chapter 4. Starting in verse 6, it says this. It says, don't worry about anything. And the reason why he put that in there is because better believe there's a lot of people worrying about a lot of stuff. All right. And so, yeah. So, actually, let me start in verse 4, because there's something there that is so good. It says, always be full of joy in the Lord. Full of joy. You can't be full of joy and be full of worry. And if you are full of joy, you're not going to worry, or at least you're not going to worry as much, because we're all humans. We get that emotion. But when we are chasing after being filled with his joy, what does that mean? It means the less we think about the worry that we feel. And so if you're at a place where you are worried, because guess what? I get worried, but it's in those moments of worry that we remind ourselves who our God is and that he can give us joy. And we can be filled with that. And going down to verse 6, it says, don't worry about anything. Instead, Pray about everything. Pray about everything. Pray about what's going on in Minnesota. Pray for our leaders. Pray for our law enforcement. Pray for the people who have been hurt. Pray for the other side that you don't agree with. Pray for your own side, right? Pray for your brothers and sisters. Pray about it all. Because what you do, instead of, man, I'm worried about this and I'm worried about that, it changes from that to, man, let me communicate with my father, my best friend, my God, with this. You see the change in tactics instead of just worry, because a lot of times when we worry, we are in ourselves, right? Think about it. When you worry, you are literally in your own head. But when you pray, you're getting out of your head. You are giving it, you're having a communication with God. You are admiring God. You are asking things for God. And it changes your mind. It changes your perspective. This is why he says, instead of worry, instead pray. So if you want to defeat worry, pray. Now, it goes further in how it's done. Tell God what you need and thank him for what he's already done. So good. There's another verse that says, if you don't ask for it, you're not going to receive it. So, man, ask God, what are the things that you need? This isn't like God is a genie. God, I need a Lamborghini, right? God, I need rest. God, I need peace. God, I need restoration. God, I need healing. God, I need forgiveness. Man, he gives those things freely. And thank him for what he's already done. Man, that's so good. There are going to be times in our life where everything, we just feel like we're on all sides. We're just pushed to our limits. And sometimes in those moments, we need to remember what God's already done for us. Because when we remember what he's done, it gives us this confidence that he's going to do and that he still is. That he's still doing things in my life and he's still going to do things in my life. You think David beat Goliath? Right before he faced Goliath, he said, man, God saved me from the jaws of the lion and the bear. He remembered what God did that helped him have confidence in the battle he was facing in the present. This is why it helps us. Then you will experience God's peace. Like I said, instead, pray about everything. So it's through prayer that we experience God's peace. It's through prayer and gratitude that we experience God's peace. It's through prayer and gratitude that we experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. That's why people be like, man, how can you be peaceful in a storm that you're facing? How can you have joy in the nightmare you're in? And I just pray and I'm thankful for God. I pray about everything and I am thankful what God has done in my life. And it's because of that, it gives me this sense of peace that goes beyond my understanding. And then it says this, his peace will guard your hearts and your minds as you live in Christ. Oh my God. Man, he's given us the key. How do we combat worry? Pray about everything. Be thankful. When you pray about everything and you are thankful, what does that do? It gives us, we begin to experience God's peace. And when we experience his peace, that peace will guard our hearts and our minds. Here's the kicker. as we live in the Lord. As we live in the Lord. So if we're praying about everything and we're grateful of what God has done, what God is doing, it creates peace. And when it creates peace, we begin to experience peace in our hearts and our minds as we continue to live for Him. Man, that's such a good thing that we need. How many of us, including me, our hearts are hurting, our mind is filled with things. And he was like, man, just pray. Be thankful. And here's another thing. Check this out. This is one of my, And it says, your minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Verse 8. Here it is, the next verse. It says, and now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true. That's a loaded word now. What is true? Well, I do know what is truth. That's Jesus. You know, people say, oh man, what is truth? It's my truth. And no, there's only the truth. And Jesus says that I am the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so the more we get to know Jesus, the more we also begin to understand what truth is. The more we get into God's word, the more that we see truth and are able to decipher the lies. You know you're following truth, especially when you're beginning to follow all these things, when you start to get offended a lot, because the truth can be very offensive. But it says this: fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting them into practice, all you have learned and received from me. Come on. This is not no Allen Iverson. You talking about practice? You talking about practice? Yeah, I'm talking about practice. When we practice the things that we're thinking about, right? When we're thinking about truth, honor, what's right, pure, lovely, admirable, and things that are excellent, worthy of praise, right? We're thinking of these things, and then we're putting those thoughts into action, right? What does that do? That leads to what God is calling us to do. And then it says keep putting those things into practice, all that you have learned and received from me. Everything you heard from me and saw me doing, then the God of peace will be with you. Come on. And this is why, including myself, we need more Christians to not just speak about things, but to live out those things. And yes, it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. Y'all know I'm not. I'm looking at the camera and it's like, well, I'm talking about peace with a peace. Holy moly. But still, I mean, it's okay to protect yourself, protect your family, okay? But still, that's side note. And then, so I do want to bring up this last bit of thing, because this is, I think, what we all want. We all want justice. And this is what the word of God says, Malachi 6:8. It says, he has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? Check this out. We aren't just supposed to call out injustice. We're supposed to be justice. Let me say that again. All right. We're not supposed to just call out injustice. We're supposed to be justice. One of the most famous signs that you see at a protest is no justice, no peace. No. a way for you to get your point across the wrong way is for you to break the law while you're trying to change something, or you do something bad to try to change something bad. It doesn't work that way. Check this out. It even says it here. It says in Isaiah 117, learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and plead with the widow's case. We're called to seek justice. And in Malachi, we're supposed to do justice. So, and this is important right here. It says in Psalms 37:27, it says, turn away from evil and do good, and you shall dwell forever. There's a verse actually that I want to talk about. 1 Peter 3:9, it says this, do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing. Let me say that one more time. Don't repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessings. Because of this, you were called so that you may inherit a blessing. And that's hard to do sometimes. And I've been caught up in this, sometimes just going back and forth too much. Sometimes it's like, hey, man, now you're starting to be a fool because you're arguing with someone that's just, and I'm not calling the people I've argued with fools or anything like that. But what I will say is, when you're arguing with someone that you know is just not going to hear anything that you got to say, you know that they're just not going to hear it. Even if you have good points, they're solid, factual, and you've learned that, you know what, they're not going to get it, then don't waste your time and energy. And trust me, I'm working on that. Instead of arguing, maybe you still have a conversation here and there, especially if you're close with them. But sometimes in those cases, the best scenarios is just to, live your life in a way that anybody on the outside, would admire. Like, man, like, I might not agree with this person, but man, he sure does love people. He sure does care. He does put other people before him. So I might not agree with him, but man, the way he lives his life is good. And that might be something that kicks something in their brain or something like that. So that's something there real quick. But yeah, I'm just about done. I told you I'm going to end well. All right. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. There's people that will agree with me, disagree with me, even with what I said, and that's fine. It is what it is. But let's get back to this. If you want to experience peace in a world that seems that is far from it, pray about everything. Be thankful for what God has done in your life. Think about things that are good and worthy and admirable and godly. Practice those things. And you will not only experience peace in your mind, but also in your heart. That's what the Word of God says. So I hope that helped you today. But that's all that I have for you guys. Remember that close enough is not close enough. I love you guys. God bless. I'll see you guys next time. I have someone special coming in a couple of days. Man, I can't wait for that video to be released. Make sure you stay tuned, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, and so hopefully that comes soon. So I'll see y'all next time, man. Take care. God bless.
Close enough.